We'll begin today by finding a seat on our mat, perhaps seated crisscross or with your knees pointing forward in a kneeling position. I recommend a block, maybe even two, stacked beneath you, so that you can gain height and length, stacking ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. And then begin to bring your awareness inward, placing your hands on your center, finding your breath. Breathing deeply and slowly with intention to be present. The breath is felt fully through the inner rings of the nostrils. See if you can feel the rise and fall of your belly, chest, and shoulders with each breath. And then we'll take the arms out wide, spinning the palms away, thumbs down. Begin to reach the arms behind you and find the reach forward of your chest. Shoulders pull back and down away from the ears. Notice the rooting action beneath you, but the rising action of your crown forward and upward. And then we can take the arms along the ears, reaching them overhead, and then the hands to the back of the head. Find your neutral here. Aligning again, ears, shoulders, and hips. As you exhale, pull the belly in and notice again the rooting action beneath you as you do. And then we'll take the arms overhead and in front so that we can come off of our seat into a hands and knees position, bringing the knees out a little wider. You can keep your block beneath you or another form of support, or maybe lower your forehead onto this support, a block or a blanket perhaps. Slowly, gradually bringing your seat a little closer towards your heels, and then stay here. Again, recognizing each breath in and out through the nose. In this child's pose, we can feel the reach forward of our crown, maybe slowly lowering the forehead a little closer towards the earth. Pulling back through the lower back and tailbone, what do you notice here? Where are the spaces that need your attention today? Okay, we'll come out of child's and back to our hands and our knees. Bring the knees back in beneath the hips. Pressing strongly into the hands and feet, lift the knees, and then come into a full downward facing dog, pressing your thighs towards the back of the mat behind you. Finding some movement here. Keep reaching into the hands in downward dog, but pedal out your legs, bending one knee at a time. Maybe you're pivoting your heels to the right side of the mat, toes to the left, keeping the knees deeply bent and the hands rooting into the mat. Notice how this feels in the lower back and come back through center. Again, bend the knees deeply and this time pivot your heels to the opposite left side of the mat, toes swing to the right. Stay for a breath or two with the knees deeply bent, feeling the reach into the hands but back through your tailbone in your seat. And then we come back, pedaling out the legs in downward dog. The optimal length in the spine. Feel free to stay here or inhale and reach your right leg toward the sky. On the exhale, reach forward with your chest and bring the knee in a little closer towards your chin. We'll do that again. Inhale, three-legged dog split, right leg skyward. And as you exhale, maybe bring the knee towards the outer right upper arm bone. See how that feels. Inhale, reach. Exhale, the knee comes across to the opposite left elbow. And then again, we feel the reach through the hands, the length in the spine. Inhale, reach the right leg. Exhale, bring it back through center. One more time here. Knee comes across to the opposite left elbow, and then see if you can reach your right leg through, coming into a side plank variation. Perhaps the hands stay planted, or reach your left arm up and over, reaching it towards the front of your yoga mat. See if you can stay a few breaths. Find the reach through crown, but forward through your chest. Pull the belly in for extra support. And come back by looking down and planting both hands back onto the mat. Return to downward facing dog, maybe lifting one foot at a time as you pedal out the legs. Notice the energy in your ankles, your toes. You can stay or bend the knees and wave forward now into a high plank. Then we lower the knees and come all the way down to the belly. Untuck the toes, reach them behind you, and take your time here. Come into cobra. Elbows stay bent, pulling back towards the back of the mat. Okay, we can come up through hands and knees and pull back slowly, gradually once more with your seat back to child's pose. Again, you can find support for the forehead, or maybe the hands come together, reach them behind you towards the back of the body, the space between the shoulder blades. See how this feels. Continuing to find the optimal reach of the breath in those spaces that need your attention today. Okay, we come back up to hands and knees. Plant the palms, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, let the knees hover, and then we come back to downward dog. With the knees bent in downward dog, try bending the elbows out and hug them in. Notice how that gives you more space in the upper back and shoulders. All right, we're going to do the other side. Inhale, this time a left leg in a three-legged downward dog split. Exhale, bring the knee in. Shoulders come over the wrist as you do that. And just do it again. Inhale, crown down towards the earth. Left heel skyward. Exhale, pull the belly in. Engage your core as you bring your left knee towards your outer left upper arm bone. Come back through. Reaching left leg skyward, inhale, and take the knee across the body to the opposite right elbow this time. You can skip these movements or continue to move with me. Inhale and exhale with each reach of the leg. And taking the knee in is when the exhale occurs. Bring the belly in as well. This time, exhale, bring the knee across the body to the right side once more. And then reach the left leg through. Come into your side plank variation. Left hand stays planted. Stack the shoulders, rotating your torso towards the right long edge of the mat. Maybe opposite right arm also reaches up and over towards the front of the mat if you'd like. A little bit of playful movement here. Keep pulling the belly in and reaching strongly into that standing left palm. Okay, we come back with both hands and both feet. Downward facing dog, pedal out the legs, maybe lifting one foot at a time. Notice the energy in the ankles. Maybe stay or bend the knees. Inhale, wave forward to high plank. You can lower the knees or exhale, keep them lifted in Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to upward facing dog. Keep your chest forward, your gaze lowered. We roll back to downward facing dog, bending knees, enjoying the breath, finding lengthened spine. When ready, begin to gently bring your knees back down to the mat, big toes together to touch, seat towards your heels. In child's pose, you're welcome to bring your arms to reach back behind you towards the back edge of your yoga mat. Again, notice the rhythm of your breath. How big can you make your breath? When you're ready to come out of child's pose, come back up to an upright position, and then meet yourself once more in hands and knees in tabletop. Okay, from here, begin to widen your right knee out towards the long edge of the mat and bring your left knee in as well. So the knees are bent and stacked. We'll slowly start to bring our seat back down, lowering onto the bottom left thigh. You're welcome to bring a block or a blanket between the knees, keeping the toes pulled back in that direction towards the knees. And then maybe even a block or a blanket for the hands to rest on here. So the idea is to keep the knees bent and stacked, reaching out to the side. Feel free to, again, adjust so that your front body, your shoulders, chest, and the top of the head reach more forward towards the front of your yoga mat. For more support and stability, the top leg can reach back long behind you, keeping the bottom knee and thigh at the same angle. And then again, just start to reach your chest more forward. This is a twist for the middle of the back. Your lower back feels stable, but the shoulders, again, are reaching more forward, allowing that delicious twist to happen along the spine. You can be more upright if you like, or lower slowly, gradually, closer to the mat with your forehead, your chest, your shoulders. Take a moment to use props that you have available. This pose will look different for everyone. See if you can be kind and mindful in these poses, unfolding slowly without force. Maybe you're even looking towards the right side of the mat, the direction of the knees. Continue to make your breath large in the upper chest. Feel your rib cage expand. When we're ready to come out of that, we'll slowly come more upright. Use your hands to do so. Maybe you're even positioning a blanket or a towel, whatever you have available beneath your seat. That will give you a little bit more lift. Now your knees stay positioned out to the side. Take your top leg out again long, and then the bottom knee can come in a little closer. The thigh is parallel to the front edge of the yoga mat. The foot for that same leg will be stacked over the extended leg's top thigh. Both knees are now bent. See if you can take opposite hand to leg, so right hand grabbing left shin bone. You're upright now, but your left arm now is pulling top and over towards the back of the mat. So this gives you a nice stretch into that left side body. Feel the breath there between your left hip, your left shoulder, reaching into the left side of the rib cage. And come out of that slowly. Left hand comes down for support. Keep the knees bent and in the same angle. If you like, you're lifting your seat here and feeling the reach at the top of the thighs, the hips. Feel the reach through your torso. And then this time maybe right arm will reach up and pull towards the top of your yoga mat. So this gives you a great stretch through the front of the thighs, the hips, the front of the body, the chest and torso. Keep rooting down into the standing left hand and into the knees. Maybe you're even feeling the reach through the sternum, the space around your heart. See if you can stay for a few breaths here. Coming out of that when you're ready. So again, we'll keep our knees positioned in the same way. Bottom left thigh parallel with the front of the mat. Top right leg is still bent. Pull the toes back to protect the knees and hips. And then again, we work on bringing our chest and shoulders forward. There is an equal yet opposite direction. Tailbone rooting down. Chest, crown of head rising forward. But keep a nice neutral feeling between the back of the neck, shoulders, and upper chest and shoulders. See if you can maybe even find a support here with a couple of blocks to rest the forehead on. Continue to feel the sides of the rib cage expand. Maybe your collarbones feel that expansion as well. Breathing so deeply that maybe you're feeling the breath behind your eyes. We're practicing unfolding, we're practicing acceptance of being with what is. Come slowly, more upright, take your time, plant the hands, shoulders forward, and then come up to tabletop. And we'll stay for a few breaths in child's pose. Use what you have available to again create that neutral. Back of neck long. Shoulders still have some space, some distance between the shoulders and the ears. Okay, coming back out of child's to table, we'll do that second side. Before we do, however, tuck the toes under, lift the knees, and let's come into maybe a little rocking action in tabletop to bring us into downward facing dog. Again, the heels stay slightly lifted and elevated. We're looking for the optimal length of the spine. Press strongly into the hands. Notice that equal yet opposite direction of crown away from tailbone. Feel free to bend the knees as you find that length. You can try reaching one hand at a time to the opposite leg. Just kind of noticing your core waking up with these actions and continuing to again find length in spine. Okay, so now we'll lower back to table and bring the knees out to the left. This time the bottom right thigh lowers. And feel free to stay upright. The right hand rooting down, feel the reach of the right side body from the hip to the shoulder and along the right side of the rib cage. Again, you can bring something for support between the knees or even reach the top left leg out long behind you. Can you root down and at the same time rise up? When you're ready to reach more towards the front of the mat with the front body, the chest, the shoulders, maybe bend the knees. Both legs are bent now. Take your time to pull the toes back toward the direction of the knees. So right and left knees are bent. You can stay here. Maybe opposite hand, this time the left hand grabs hold of the right shin bone. And then take your right arm up alongside the right ear. Perfectly fine to stay right here, especially if you're feeling a delicious stretch again through that right side body. But if you're looking for a little bit more, maybe you're pulling the top right arm towards the back of the mat to get that deeper stretch. Your body, your practice, your yoga. Play around, but again, mindful of how the breath fills. This is that practice of acceptance of being with what is, allowing this acknowledgement of self to spill over and benefit into the rest of our day. And then coming slowly out of that, right hand lowers. Make sure it's planted now as you lift your seat. If it's okay for the knees, you can start to again feel the reach forward through the front of the body So the seat is lifted up off the mat. Feel that reach to the front of your thighs and the front of the hips. Maybe the left arm wants to find a little bit more movement. You can kind of reach the arm up and over, maybe pulling it slightly back behind you. Lead with your heart. Your sternum, the breastbone, can reach more towards the sky as you find your breath here. Opening up through the front of the body, take your time. Come out of that slowly when ready. So again, we're going to keep our knees in the same position. We'll take our shoulders and the crown, the top of our head, more forward towards the front of the mat. Again, this is allowing a delicious stretch to happen along the middle of the back, the thoracic spine. A wonderful stretch for areas that can be really restricted throughout our days. We sit too frequently. So take your time here. Again, you're welcome to stay more upright or slowly bring your forehead a little closer, maybe with the support. See if you can keep your shoulders even and breathe into that space in the upper back, the space behind your heart. Breathe deeply behind the eyes. Maybe notice any tension you might be holding on to around your jaw, your teeth, your tongue. What can you soften? As we stay for another breath or two, really reaching the chest or the gate of the arms, again, imagine that you're leading with your heart rather than your chin. The chin is neutral, back of the neck is neutral, but there's this reach to the chest. Even as we stay in this prone position, allow yourself to fully be engaged, be present. Notice the quality of your breath. All right, come up slowly. Hands pressed down, shoulders are forward so that we can make our way mindfully out of that twist and back to tabletop. And then again, find a little bit of a surrendering here with your child's pose. Any position works. Arms can reach forward or behind you. Take a few breaths here. Now we'll come upright. Make your way back to your thunderbolt position with the knees bent and reaching forward. You can come closer to the front of the mat or towards the middle of the mat and just create that lift and lengthened spine, maybe again a block or two beneath you. Again, we'll reach the arms out behind us, grab hold of your elbows or your wrist or somewhere in between and pull the shoulders back and down. You can stay right here, looking for that delicious length between shoulders and ears, or maybe bring your right ear towards your right shoulder and actively work on lengthening the left opposite side. Left shoulder pulls away from the ear. Glance down, maybe you're looking towards your right hip or right knee, and then slowly look for the stretch. Suss it out. You can look more towards the sky, lifting the chin, but again, keep working on gently allowing that left shoulder to move away from the ear, as though you're bringing the shoulder blades a little closer together in the back of the body. Come out of that slowly, crown towards the sky, and we'll do the other side. Left ear toward left shoulder. But again, we're looking for the action in the opposite side, so the right shoulder wants to gently pull back and down. Maybe you're hugging the elbows in a little closer. Again, you can look down towards the left hip or knee. Maybe take your time to lift the chin, lift your gaze. When you feel something, stay. Investigate that stretch. Again, we're practicing self-awareness. How we are on the mat is a good indication of how we are in life. So if you're holding on to tension, actively release that, and then come out of that slowly. Okay, you can remain seated on your block or blocks. Maybe you're lowering your seat a little closer to the mat. Your knees are bent forward, but your heels can be a little wider than your hips. I recommend a blanket here. Sit more, a little higher, so that you can feel the reach through the crown of your head more skyward, tailbone rooting down. Again, you can rest your hands on your center and just stay here. Maybe close the eyes. This is a wonderful pose, a great stretch for the top of the thighs, your quads. You're maybe even feeling a stretch through the inner thighs and knees. Continue to root down and rise at the same time, feeling that equal yet opposite energy, the push and pull. Looking for the duality of the pose. Continuing to again notice whatever is coming up for you. So if you have any knee issues, maybe you're coming out of the pose sooner. If you're feeling really good here, you can stay, or maybe you're coming into more of a reclining version of your hero's pose, your Virasana pose. This is a balm for tired legs at the end of the day. It improves circulation and relieves fatigue in your legs. At the same time, you're getting a great stretch for hips, psoas, quads, and feet. You can lower with your elbows, your forearms onto the mat. Maybe you're bringing a blanket or a block for the back of the head to rest. Again, this is not for everyone. There are variation in our hips that make this pose less available for everyone. So find your pose, your variation of hero's pose, and stay with breath. See if you can befriend rather than be conquered by the pose. Be kind and mindful. You're unfolding slowly without force. This is a practice of acceptance of self-love and equanimity so that we can think clearly and make better, more nurturing choices for ourselves throughout our day. Maintain your breath. How big can you make your breath in your upper chest? Can you feel your rib cage expand, the sides of the rib cage, your collarbones? Breathe into the back of your eyes, but use your exhale to soften. Avoiding overstretching, overstriving. Remember, we're not creating tension. We're not creating resistance. Practice acceptance and be. You're staying for a few more breaths if you can, although use your breath as your guide. If it feels forced or rushed, come out of the pose sooner. This is a practice that's perfect for unfolding, again, for being with what is. To come out of the pose, really, really be mindful. Use your elbows, your forearms to come more upright slowly if you did take the reclining variation of Virasana. Take your time here, pausing, mindfully making your way more upright. There is no rush. Maybe you're bringing your support with your hands to undo the pose. Come upright into Thunderbolt. Maybe stay for a few breaths, and again, just recognize how you're feeling, the effects of the practice. And to unwind from that, come on to hands and knees and tabletop. Maybe you're staying, maybe you're reaching long with one leg at a time. Just take your time. Virasana was a very intense pose, that hero's pose. Maybe it feels nice to find length in your plank, shoulders over wrist, you're on the shelf of the toes. You're welcome to stay here for a few breaths, reaching chest forward, tailbone back. And then again, come down to the knees and gradually look for length by pressing your seat closer towards the back of the mat. That can feel really nice along the spine. And then we'll come back up. So take your time here. Maybe you're coming right away into a downward dog, maybe the knees together. And then come up into downward dog with the inner edges of your feet together. That way your heels can root down. Keep reaching into your hands as well. So we're in kind of a different downward dog with the feet together rather than hip distance. You can stay here, or maybe you're pivoting your seat, your hips from side to side, actively pressing strongly into the hands. This can feel really nice. You're welcome to bend one knee at a time. And when you're ready, we're just going to walk our feet towards the front of the mat and just kind of hang out in a forward fold. Keep your knees bent and soft so that you can release the lower back. Crown towards the earth, tailbone more skyward. Find the reach in the spine. And then we can slowly make our way more upright. We're going to come up to standing, but pause for a few breaths before you do. Again, maybe in this forward fold. Or allow your elbows, your forearms to rest on your thighs, coming into more of a chair pose. Notice the energy in your feet. Inner edges are parallel, lined up, toes pointing towards the front of the mat. Then try this out. Bend back through your seat. Imagine you're dialing your toes in toward one another, but pulling out through the outer edges. Root down, rise up to standing, and we'll end the practice now. Pause for a few breaths upright in a mountain pose. Again, practicing acceptance for whatever came up for you today. Namaste.